Chapter 10, New Empires and Kingdoms. Arvind play a king. Arvind had been chosen to act as a king in the school play. He had expected too much to march solemnly in splendid robes, the trill his moustache and wild the silver pepper, wrapped sword with gusto. Imagine his surprise when he was told he would also have to sit and play a veena and recite poetry. A musician king. Who was that? He wondered. Persisted and what they tell us, Arvind was supposed to be strong, acting as Samudragupta, a famous ruler of a dynasty known as the Guptas. We know about Samudragupta from a long inscriptions inscribed on the Ashokan pillar at Allahabad. It was composed as a kavya by Harisena, who was a poet and a minister at the court of Samudragupta. This inscription is of a special kind known as a Prashasti, a Sanskrit word meaning in praise of, while Prashastis were composed for some of the rulers you read about in chapter 9, such as Gautami Putra, Sri Satkarni. They became far more important from the time of the Guptas. Samudragupta's Prashasti. Let us see what Samudragupta's Prashasti tell us. The poet praised the king in glowing terms as a warrior, as a king who won victories in battle, who was learned and the best of poets. He is also described as equal to the gods. The Prashasti was composed in very long sentence. Here is part of one such sentence. Samudragupta, the warrior, whose body was a most charming, being covered with the plenteous beauty of the mark of hundreds of scars caused by battle axes, arrows, spikes, spears, barbed darts, swords, iron clubs, javelins, barbed arrows, long arrows, and many other weapons. What does this inscription tell you about the king and also about how king fought wars? If you look at map 7 page 105, you will notice an area shaded in green. You will also find a series of red dots along the east coast, and you will find areas marked in purple and blue as well. This map is based on the information provided in the Prasasti. Harisena describe four different kings of rulers and tell us about Samudragupta's policies towards them. The rulers of Aryavata, the area shaded in green on the map. Here there were nine rulers who were uprooted and their kingdoms were made a part of Samudragupta's empire. The rulers of Dakshin Pantha, here there were 12 rulers, some of whose capitals are marked with red dots on the map. They surrendered to Samudragupta after being defeated, and he then allowed them to rule again. The inner circle of neighboring states, including Assam, coastal Bengal, Nepal, and a number of Ghana Sanghas. Remember chapter 5 in the northwest, marked in purple on the map. They brought tribute, followed his order, and attended his court. The rulers of the outlying areas, marked in the blue on the map, perhaps the descendants of the Kushanas and Shakas and the rulers of Sri Lanka who submitted to him and offered daughters in marriages. Look at the picture. The king who played the veena, some other qualities of Samudragupta are shown on the coins, such as this one where he is showing playing the veena. Find Prayaga, the old name of for Allahabad, Ujjain and Patliputra, Patna on the map. These were important centers of the Gupta ruler, and Prayagraj is sorry. These were important centers of the Gupta's rulers. What was the difference between the way in which Samudragupta traded the rulers of Aryabhata and Dakshinapatha. Can you suggest any reasons for this difference? Look at the map showing important cities and kingdoms. Thaneshwar, Mathura, Kannauj, Prayagraj, Patliputra, Nalanda, Ujjain, Vallabhi, Bharuch, Satavahana, Ajanta, Amravati, Aihole, Chalakya, Pallava, Chera, Pandya, Madurai. Okay, pink color inner state, on sky blue outer state, and mm, light green Aryavata. Black dot cities and the red dot cities conquered by the Guptas. Bay of Bengal. Okay, look here, Arabian Sea, Lakshadweep. Genealogies. Most Prashastis also mention the ancestors of the rulers. This one mentions Samudragupta's great grandfather, grandfather, father, and mother. His mother, Kumara Devi, belonged to the Lichvi Ghana, while his father, Chandragupta, was the first ruler of the Gupta dynasty to adopt the grand title of Maharaja Dhiraj, a title that Samudragupta also used. His great grandfather and grandfather are the mentioned simply as Maharajas. It seems as if the family gradually rose to importance. Vikram Samant, the era beginning in the 1580, 58 BC, is traditionally associated with Gupta king Chandragupta II, who had founded it as a mark of victory over the Sakas and assumed the title of Vikramaditya. Reigns these titles in order to of importance Raja, Maharaja Dhiraj, Maharaja. Samudragupta in turn figures in the genealogies list of ancestors of later rulers of the dynasty, such as his son Chandragupta II. We know about him from inscriptions and coins. He led an expedition to western India where he overcame the last of the Shakas. According to later belief, his court was full of learned people, about some of them whom you will read in chapter 11. Harshavardhana and the Harshacharita. While we can learn about the Gupta rulers from their inscriptions and coins, we can find out about some kings from biographies. Harshavardhana, who ruled nearly 1400 years ago, was one such ruler. His court poet Banbhatta wrote his biography, the Harshacharita, in Sanskrit. This gives us the genealogy of Harsha and ends with his becoming king. Zonzang, about whom you read in chapter 9, also spent a lot of time at Harsha's court and left a detailed account of what he saw. Harsha was not the eldest son of his father, but became king of Thaneshwar after both his father and elder brother died. His brother-in-law was the ruler of Kannauj, see map 7, and he was killed by the rulers of Bengal. Harsha took over the kingdom of Kannauj and then led an army against the rulers of Bengal. Although Although he was successful in the east and the conquered Magda and probably Bengal also, he was not as successful elsewhere. He tried to cross the Narmada to march into the Deccan, but was stopped by a ruler belonging to the Chalukya dynasty, Pulkeshin II. Look at the political map of India and list the present day states which Harshavardhana passed through when he went to Bengal and up to the Narmada. The Pallavas, Chalukyas, and Pulkeshins Prashasti. The Pallavas and Chalukyas were the most important ruling dynasties in South India during this period. The kingdom of the Pallavas spread from the region around their capital, Kachipuram, and the Kaveri Delta, while that of the Chalukyas was centered around the Rachur Daw between the rivers Krishna and Tungabhadra. I hold the capital of the Chalukyas was an important trading center. See map 7. It developed as a religious center with a number of temples. The Pallavas and Chalukyas frequently raided one another's land, especially attacking the capital cities, which were prosperous towns. The best known Chalukya's ruler was Pulkeshin II. We know about him from a prashasti composed by his court poet Ravi Kriti. This tells us about his ancestors who are traced back to four generations from father to son. Pulkeshin evidently got the kingdom from his uncle. According to Ravikriti, he led expeditions along both the west and the east coast. Beside, he checked the advance of Harsha. There is an interesting play of words in the poem. Harsha means happiness. The poet says that after this defeat, Harsha was no longer Harsha. Pulkeshins also attacked the Pallava king who took shelter behind the walls of Kachipuram. But the Chalukyas' victory was short lived ultimately. Both the Pallavas and the Chalukyas gave way to new rulers belonging to the Rashtrakuta and Chola dynasty, about which you will study in class 7. Who were the other rulers who tried to control the cost and why? Hint, see chapter 9. How were these kingdoms administered? As in the case of earlier kings, and land revenue remained important for these rulers, and the villas remained the basic until of administrations. There was some new development as well. Kings adopted a number of steps to win the support of men who were powerful either economically or socially, or because of their political and military strength. For instance, some important administrative posts were now hereditary. This means that sons will succeed fathers to these posts. For example, the poet Rishena was a Mahadana Naika, or chief judicial officer like his father. Sometimes one person held many offices. For instance, besides being a Mahadana Naika, Harishena was a Kumar Amatya, meaning an important minister, and a Sanidhi Vigrahika, meaning a minister of war and peace. Besides, important men probably had a say in local administration. These include the Nagara Srishti, our chief banker or merchant of the city, the Sarthvaha, our leader of the merchant caravanas, the Pratama Kulika of the are the chief craftsman, and the head of the Casters are scribes. These policies were reasonably effective, but sooner or later, some of these powerful men grew strong enough to set up independent kingdoms. What do you think may have been the advantages and disadvantages of having hereditary officials?